Wow, okay. You got my attention. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for art supplies to make your life just a little bit easier or for you to enjoy the craft just this much more. Now today we are going to be doing some markers that I have reviewed before, but now they have a professional line, and so we are going to be looking at Azure's professional artist markers. So I'm very excited to see if these are any better than the ones that we had reviewed before. If memory serves me right, I was not a big fan of these the first time I tried them out, but now I'm always interested when they give you a professional brand, like a professional label, to see if it's any better or if you should be spending the money. Now normally I wouldn't have picked these up because they were very expensive when I first saw them, but they were on sale, so I did pick them up from Walmart, and I really wanted to see if they were any good. So as always, come on, let's go check them out. Alright, so as you can see, I mean, right away you get this nice image. I always am a big fan of products that kind of show you what you can create with the materials that they have. Now, I don't know if this was actually created with the Azure markers or not, but I do like the fact that right off the bat you can be like, bam, okay, I get it. Like, this would be kind of fun. And so it's always different than the ones that just give you all the information and that's it. This is always, for me, a far better use of the space, because it's like, hey, look, this is what you can do with this, right? And it kind of convinces you ahead of time, oh, this is really cool. So like I said, it is professional artist marker, premium quality alcohol-based markers, blendable, dual tip, fast drying, and it includes a colorless blender, so you have 13 pieces in this. On the back, you get to see here the colors. This is what the marker is going to look like. You know, it tells you exactly that you get a chisel and a bullet tip, and then it shows you the image that we just saw in the front. Again, I think you could have used a different image here to really push home that you can do these kind of things with it. And then it gives you just a little bit of information about, by Royal and Langnickel. And it just tells you that it's vibrant and smooth and streak free. But see, professional artist markers. So that's the thing that caught my attention. Anytime a company goes, oh, these are professional, it means that they have a student grade before, which shouldn't be as the same quality as the professional marker. So we're gonna definitely try these out and see where it is. But as always, most of these markers are in a type of chip board. Dude, it's always fun when they put the tape on it so you can't actually open the package, and I understand that's for security, but it always makes these openings very, very cumbersome. Alright, so I guess the first thing we say is, wow, the security on these are great, because it takes some time to get that tape was really hard to get off. Alright, so we got white markers, which is kind of fun. A lot of people are going more dark, so everyone's got dark colors. So the Azure ones are white. It is in a rounded triangular mold, so the body is more triangular. It's supposed to stop it from rolling, but because it's rounded, as you can see, it just kind of rolls around. So you might lose your marker if you put it down and push it a little bit too hard, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So you got to keep that in mind. It has two color ends on the end, right? And it tells you here, like, you got to look pretty hard to see it. I mean, not really hard, but the fact that it's just a gap, which indicates the bullet, and then the small one indicates the chisel, which is, in my opinion, backwards, right? Because the chisel is generally bigger, so you'd want the bigger gap to indicate that. But, or are they both the same? Oh, now with a closer look, because like I said, it's all white, so it's a closer look. So I guess there's actually no indication except for these, where it says here's your bullet and here's your chisel. So we've had a couple markers in the past that gives you a little extra indicators to kind of help you along with that. So just in case you don't see this one side, because it is only on one side, So there's that. The marker itself is a nice, it's a nice width to it. So even in my bigger hands, it feels very comfortable. It's not too big. I've had markers that are almost, they go out to like that, and I think that's ridiculous. But these are a nice size. It's a very nice size. The plastic, the actual container, actually, it's all right. It's not too plasticky, but you can feel it, right? You can feel that plastic. So not too bad, but all right, standard bullet tip, but it does look really, really, juicy in here. It looks like the alcohol marker is really pushing that ink to the nib, so that's always nice. See if it can post. It does. Okay, it does post. Let's listen for the snap. Oh, it's got a nice snap to it. All right, look over here. Chisel looks pretty normal, right? But still, you can see how saturated that is. That looks really nice in the fact that it's super saturated. So hopefully it'll flow, be really nice. Now, the one thing I noticed as I was taking it off, like if there's any type of pressure on this, it's just gonna pop off. So if you are drawing with it and then you kind of touch it, it's gonna come off. So that's kind of a bummer that the post isn't a little bit stronger. I mean, it's on there, and if you kind of flick it, it's not going to come off. But let's just say you draw from the back and you kind of squeeze, it's going to go flying. So it's kind of a bummer, but it does. They do give you this nice little case that comes with it. So let's see how they work. So as always, 300 series Bristol board, smooth. So. All right, let's try the red because it's the first one in there. All right, okay. You know what? Without really any type of trying to actually ensure that it is a, like streakless, it really did blend nice together, like nicely together. That wow, okay, you got my attention. So if I try and actually make it kind of streakless, I think that surprised me. That really did surprise me. So the chisel has, the thin side, then you can come in and make it thicker, right? And then of course you have the actual chisel thickness, right? Wow, but okay, so this is interesting. So I pulled it apart, like I frayed it apart just a little bit. And so as the ink kind of goes over it, it really tries to blend that color together on its own. So for those of you who are really trying to make, just go straight across, a lot of my students try and do this, right? If you get a lot closer, then it will blend together. But if you're far apart, right, it only blends where the marker kind of goes over. And that's interesting. I'm very impressed by, like, if you can get close enough, like right here, it's gonna blend on its own. That's nice. It's a very even coat of color. Like I obviously put more down here, so it's taking a little bit more time to dry. But this right here, that is just super nice. All right, let's try this yellow, shall we? Okay, so this says orange on it, but that cap is definitely yellow. But when you pull out the actual marker, the nib is orange. Yep. And so, I didn't do it here, but as I got further down, I was able to kind of keep it closer together, and they just blend. They blend with each other very nicely. Now, if you do make a line, like I said, it's not like a paint pen, so if you go over it, you will see the difference, right? So if I was to take the same marker and go over it, you will see the difference between the two. But as you can see here, it's blending, and even in that spot where I just kind of hurried up and went further, where there should be a bigger gap or streak, it's really at pushing through the fibers to really try and fill that in. That's nice. So when you actually do something like this, and you really are trying to make sure that it actually bleeds into the colors, into the space, then you get this nice even coat. So, okay. So we're using the bullet. I forgot to use it with the red, but the ink flow on these are great, right? Because it definitely goes from the beginning to the bottom, to the end. But the one thing that I've noticed is every time you push down, it leaves a bead of color, right? So it's not a straight line, but the minute you hit, which means that there is a lot of ink on the actual tip of the marker, and so when you push it down, that first initial big glob of ink hits that line, and then when you pull it, right, it becomes normal again. So it's something you're gonna have to keep in mind when you're drawing. So if you're trying to do these little itty bitty lines, you have to really keep in mind that it's gonna leave that dot at the beginning, right? But the ink flow, like I said, the ink flow on these is fantastic. Oof, that is a weird looking yellow. It says yellow, but it's very, very dark. And one thing that I have noticed is that these colors, they dry a lot darker than the cap indicates. Yeah. So that's a big thing to have to keep in mind, right? Like if you are looking at this cap and you're like, I want this yellow, it's a very bright, like almost canary yellow, that's not what you're gonna get out of that marker. It's definitely more dark lemon type of color. But like I said, with the ink flow of this, right, it just super. It's great. They work really nice. Let's try this one. Yeah, that's the most impressive to me, that I can just go back and forth like that, and it will just make a nice blend for me. Right? And this, right, like no matter how fast or slow you go, the ink is able to keep up, and I like that. I like that very much. But everything is darker, no matter what. It's just, this is probably one of the most satisfying things that I have done on this channel so far, is that using the chisel and going back and forth and just watching how it can give just a completely super smooth experience. Like that's just great. This is where I can see the professionalism comes in, because it definitely does take away a lot of the going back and forth to make sure that it's actually going to work. So now we're really just kind of testing, not really, right? Just seeing. Oh, this one's a little. I'm going to take a second, because it seemed like the ink was not flowing on that one as nicely. But yeah, so it's a very consistent marker as far as ink flow and all that kind of good stuff, and the fact that it gets darker, like 100%. It's just darker. So whatever color you think you're getting, just know that it is a darker version of that color. And that is a nice, like, wine red. I do like that. So another thing that I've seen is, like, the darker the color, the more accurate it is. The more accurate it is as far as the colors go. So, the lighter the color, it's going to be too dark. But if it's dark, like this dark blue or this dark red, then it's going to match that cap. But if you have a lighter color, that's not the case. Alright, so we'll put these away real quick, and then try this one. All right, so then we're gonna go with Stedtler ink, and then King Art. Enough on there. King Art. That one's dying. Probably should get rid of that one. And with Tombow. Oop, it's tiny. That's right. This one is Faber-Castell. All right, I think I'm gonna have to eventually buy some microns, because that's just, honestly, it's pretty much the standard as far as what colors should be used. But we're going to do the ink test and see if it'll start smearing any of the colors. Use an array of the different ones, because it's not really, I have to be honest, if this blue is probably the lightest, but to be absolutely 100% honest, it's not necessarily a light color. I'm really just grabbing all the lighter the colors, because normally, as always, the lighter the color, the more alcohol is in there. So I'll try this purple too, why not? Oh, that's super, man, that's super dark. All right, so let's see what we got. So on the yellow, the Stedtler kind of bleeds a little bit, but that's it. All the other ink pens, no smears, no nothing. That's really good. That means that pretty much any marker or any pen that you have is pretty safe to use, so the marker will go over it and won't pull out the ink. That's really nice. All right, so we just got done reviewing the Azure Professional Artist Dual Tip Markers, and I have to say, they kind of blew me away. They're not, you know, out of this world, but I was really not expecting them to be the way they were, right? Because we, like I said, we did one before, and it was like, but the fact that I can just go down with the color and it blend. I didn't have to go over it again. I just had to be kind of conscious of how the line I was making, and the ink kind of just bled into it, and it made it really, really nice flat color. So these Azure markers, the professional markers, you know what? I would tell you to go get them. Definitely catch them when they're on sale, because last I saw they were a bit expensive. But they're actually really nice. The one thing that you really have to watch out for is the fact that they all are darker than what the cap says. And as you get to the darker ones, they're very saturated. So you have to keep that in mind. Best thing you can do is literally come in and make yourself a little color chart so that you can see how it interacts with paper, so you don't have to constantly guess, oh, is this going to be the right color? Is it going to be yellow, or is it going to be mustard? So, you know, you want to make sure that you have that kind of test sheet ready to go. I wouldn't take these and just go right into your illustration or your drawing, because you will probably be disappointed that it is way darker than the cap indicates. But outside of that, these were really nice. They, you know, they caught me off guard with the blending of how well they blended together. So definitely go check these out. They're worth it. Well, that wraps up today's episode of Is It Worth It? I hope that you were able to get some type of information that was useful and that you might be interested in picking these up. Now, if you have any suggestions for art supplies that you would like me to review, please go ahead and drop it in the comments below and I will add it to the list. If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified every single time that I drop new content. Thank you all so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.